I've never really done like a team builder live for a draft, so I probably do this in a pretty weird order. So I don't know if there is like an order or how other people like to do it. I just know how I like to do it. I like your team other than having both Zorak and Houndoom. So I think Zorak and Houndoom actually go together very well. Um, they're actually really, really important to have. So you got to remember, Houndoom was last pick, so I only had 2 points. But at the same time, Zorak cannot be a defensive pivot. That mon cannot be a defensive pivot at all. So the fact that it's a dark type, it cannot use that dark typing as a pivot to get me out of like, I can't pivot in on a psychic because like if they don't psychic, I just lose the Zorak, right? So Houndoom can be a defensive pivot and still work correctly. And you got to remember, Houndoom and Zorak share a lot of the same moves, but they also get different moves. So if I send out a Houndoom and it clicks Flamethrower to get a KO, they're like, cool, that's Houndoom. I'm going to come in, I'm going to use a move that's good against Houndoom. And then they get like, I don't know, freaking Sucker Punched or, you know, something else like that. Like, there's a lot of moves that Zorak and Houndoom also share, but they're very also different. Like, Zorak gets things like Copycat and Encore and things like that. Dapper, how goes it? So, yeah, there's a lot of different things that I think that I don't think Houndoom was a waste of 2 points, and I actually think Houndoom is very good, specifically in this week, right? Houndoom is really, really good as like a Weavile counter, right? What is Weavile going to do? It could break me, you know, but like we pivot in on triple axle, on knockoffs. We have a lot of value with Houndoom if we want to use it correctly. And Houndoom also just stops things like that Skeledirge. So you think like, you know, it's why you have like the same slot twice, and it's like, I don't know, like I think like Houndoom's like really, really good this week, and I might use it. Volk looks amazing. I think Volk is better looking here than it really is. I'll talk about my thoughts on each of my mons in this matchup in just a sec, but Volk gets hard checked by Dirge to the point where like we could lose the game if they get a little set up. So I don't want that to happen, and I need to add the tools to stop that if at all possible. They only have 10 versus the 12 that I have, sorry. So having a coach that has like less mons makes my draft a little bit easier. You say Quagsire is iffy, both Water Absorb and Unaware look great. I think Water Absorbs better because it makes you a guarantee Ursh check. I don't think that I'm really worried about setting up. Like, what's going to set up on that team that would cause me problems? Like Weavile? Solgaleo is not really a setup mon. Ursh isn't really a setup mon. I'm not really that afraid of like an Ursh threat setup. So like, I think especially if I just go Water Absorb. You say Skeledirge being a Terra Captain is criminal. I think we're going to be able to... Basically, the way I'm looking at this matchup is if I can get the Skeledirge managed, I fold with Volk. I think Volk just kind of comes in and says, like, that's it. So let me go and pull up a doc. And this is just how I'm going to be doing my sort of team building for this. I'm going to put this down here. You say Dirge is a setup mon? Yeah, but like it's too slow to do anything, right? So like I can like if Dirge doesn't set up with like things that I can't break, right? So like you can get like Throat Song, it's like cool, but I have a Houndoom. Like Houndoom should be able to check Dirge every single way you would ever think. I come in, I can taunt a Yawn, you have to hit me, I can Destiny Bond. Your Dirge will always lose to Houndoom, right? If I want to use Houndoom. So what I'm gonna do is pull this up. Trailblaze Urshifu, that's kind of cool. I think what I'm going to do is just list down their mons and list like the probability that I think they're going to be brought. So Solgaleo is going to be first. I think Solgaleo is like 100% bring. I think it's 100% bring. Is that a sub gift? Yo, Maimon gifting a sub as well. Maimon, you get to nickname any of the Pokemon on my team. Feel free to pick one. I will nickname it what you wish within reason. Thank you so much for the gifted sub. Thank you so much. I do be appreciating that, and hopefully you're excited to see the the actual games. Also get Swords Dance. You're talking about Shifu, yeah, but like the thing is like I don't care about Urshifu if I'm using like Quag and other things like that. Like so if it's Swords Dance Shifu, it's not Scarf Shifu, which means like half my team outspeeds it, right? So we're fine. Yeah, I think Houndoom is like a really, really good mon in this matchup. I either might want to go like Houndoom or something like Zorak, but we'll see which one it is. So, Solgaleo, I think is going to be 100% bring, in my opinion. I think it's going to be just like really, really busted. Let's see. Solgaleo Mims, that's a really combo. I don't think we bring Mimikyu to this matchup. Mimikyu is a good mon for my team. I don't think it can be brought versus Solgaleo and Urshifu. That's just my opinion. So Solgaleo is definitely going to be brought. I think Weavile will probably also be brought. I'd say that's a high chance of Weavile. Let's go to the next one. We got Urshifu. I think Urshifu is going to be brought for sure. So Urshi Water. These are like 100% obvious picks, right? Name the Houndoom S. All right. Scorched in Norwegian. Cool. I'm going to write it down. All right. Houndoom. Scorched in Norwegian. Huh. I went to Iceland recently, and we checked out the museum of, like, witchcraft. It might have been like witchcraft of like the old stuff back in the day, and there was a bunch of like Norwegian stuff like that. That everything sounded like that. It was kind of cool. It was really, really cool. We had to go to like the top of it was in the top of Iceland, like the north. It was a really, really weird place. We had to like all do ourselves. It was really, really cool. Is Weavile faster than my entire team? Technically, but at the same time, like, what does Weavile do to my team? Like, I have a Scizor, right? So like, what does Weavile do? You know? I'm like actually asking, like, I just say like, hey, that's cool. I have a Scizor, right? Anyways, we're just going to keep on going down the list. The next mon is Dirge. And I think there is a very high % chance Dirge comes. It's their biggest Terra Captain. I'm going to put Skeledirge as a 90 because I think that it's probably coming. That's a educated guess from your boy. I think it's definitely has options. Let's check out Sandy Shocks. Now this is their like photosynthesis mon if they want to use one, but I don't know if Sandy Shocks would really be coming here. Iceland's at the top of my list of places to visit. Any recommendations, things to know? Time of the year? I want to see the Northern Lights. So that's the thing is you can actually only see the Northern Lights during some times of the year. So the thing I would recommend to you is Google like what times of the year the Northern Lights are viable and viewable in Iceland, because you can't just go there like and just see the Northern Lights. I think the Northern Lights are mostly gonna be in the winter and like the colder months. I think, right? I could be a little bit wrong, but the Northern Lights are. I've been there 3 times, and I've never once seen the Northern Lights. So don't get your hopes up. And we've gone like out in the middle of nowhere. We've done the full. We've taken a car and driven the whole country, right, into the middle of nowhere in the sticks, and you still can't see the Northern Lights every night, even in like the times of year that you're going to see them. It's just hard sometimes. So yeah, I think if you really are going to Iceland, please reach out to me and I'll give you like a list of places that are good to eat, places that we like to stay when we go there that are pretty cheap, things to do. Like if anyone's ever planning an Iceland trip, I can definitely tell you like there's not that much to do for a country, right? So it's like I would tell you all the things that I think you would need to know about going to Iceland. Anyways, Sandy Shocks. It's hard to say, right? 60? There is value to Sandy Shocks. 60% question mark. I don't think Sandy Shocks is coming. If I had to make a guess here, it's fine. But like we have a lot of mons that give it problems, and if we're forcing pins and stuff like that, it can't actively use photosynthesis. The best thing they could do there with Sandy Shocks is go for like what? Like Volt Switch, like Specs or Scarf or something like that. And like we have Quagsire. So it's like they should just see the Quagsire and the Toedscruel and be like, nah, that ain't it. Yep, 2 ground types. Yeah, that's the thing is like, and I have a Blissey, right? I don't think it's coming. Anyways, the next one is Weezing. And I actually don't think that Weezing is coming. So Weezing is going to be at a 50%. I don't think Weezing's coming. That's just my unexpert opinion. I don't think they're going to be bringing the Weezing. I think Weezing's okay in some matchups, especially ones that have against like better physical mons. But the fact that like we have Scizor, if they were regular Weezing, they might be able to get some value there. But I don't think that's going to be coming here. Weezing is not too great on the special side, and we have a lot of special mons. We have Steel mons. I'm not seeing the value in Weezing here. Let's go to the next mon. That is going to be Arboliva. Arboliva is probably coming, I think. It's a good check to Palkia. So it's like one of this team's like only major pivots for like that Surf that Palkia is going to be coming with. So I think it's probably like in 80. I think it's probably coming, right? So that's, I would say that it's probably a pretty good mon. It's not good into like Scizor and things like that, but like you don't really have that many things that can swap in on Surf if I just want to use that move. And let's take a look at the next one. Sandslash. I think Sandslash is definitely coming. I think Sandslash is like a 90 at least. Like it's their spinner, it's their main rocks user. I think Sandslash is probably coming to the matchup. It could be Sandy Shocks though instead of Sandslash. That's something else that's like worth looking at. And I have a plan versus both if it is, but I think Sandslash is more common than Sandy Shocks here. Let's see. The next one's Altaria. I don't see Altaria coming at all. It's probably there to tech for like weather, maybe like a defog user. But like the fact that we have Scizor, maybe if you think that like Flamethrower Altaria is good for that, go for it. But like we have Mimikyu, we have Blissey. It's not really great into Volk. I'm not seeing a really high value in Altaria. That could just be me, but I don't see it. I think even if you do bring it, like I don't really care. And then Zangoose. I don't think Zangoose is coming either. Like we have Scizor, right? So Zangoose is like a 90-ish base speed, so it's not faster than like all my mons are roughly around like the 100 plus area speed on like my sweepers, like my Zoroark, my Palkia, my Volk, things like that. So I don't see there a lot of value in Zangoose, especially because I also have like ghost types and stuff like that, and Volk. I'm not seeing the value there, but maybe like a 40, right? And so let's organize these now by the percent that we think they're going to be. And so we can kind of get a good understanding of where we think our opponent's going to be. So we know that they're going to be bringing those three. We're like pretty sure. Is this draft played on BDSP? Nope, it's played in Scarlet and Violet. We know those three are going to be coming. We're pretty sure it's going to be those three, but there is a chance that Sandy Shocks is coming instead of Sandslash. So what we need to do is basically check for... We need to check for those three. Let's just see. So we need to check for Solgaleo, Weavile, Urshi, Skeledirge, Arboliva, and then Ground. Right, so that's what we need to check for. We're pretty sure that those are what they're going to be bringing. And again, this is, I think, a pretty... It's not that it's an easy draft for me, but it's easier because they only have the 10 mons as opposed to the 12. So if that's what we need to do, I think the next thing we would want to do is find all of those mons base speed tiers. Solgaleo is a 97. Weavile is 125 or 126? I think it is a 125. Yep, 125. Urshifu's also 97. Skeledirge is it like 50? Is it like 52? 66. Why did I think it was so slow? 66. Arboliva. It's going to be 39. Quite slow. That's actually really good for us. And then Sandy Shocks can be a couple different things. So Shocks is, I think it's 101. And Sandslash is a little bit different. I'm just going to check this. 101 and 65. All right. Perfect. So that means, realistically, I think the key to winning this matchup is having most of our sweepers outspeed this 97. And then have, like, the rest of our mons just kind of do what we want. So what we need to do is, so key to match, outspeed base 97. And then break Dirge. Let's see, how do we want to beat the Weavile? Pin Weavile. And that should be it. So we need a mon that lets us execute all of these things. We need a mon that lets us do this, right? And this is just my like analysis from looking at the matchup so far. Like again, if we take a look at all of these things, I think that the key to the match is outspeeding base 97s like Ursh and Solgaleo, being able to pin Dirge and pin Weavile. I think that's the key to doing it. So we need to add Mons that can do that. So what I would like to do next is think and look at like each of my Mons, like what their lead matchups into every single one of their things could look like. So like, for example, if we want to talk about leading Palkia, if we lead Palkia trying to anticipate a Sandslash lead, that means they have to swap, right? And so they would swap to like Arboliva, and Arboliva actually like can't swap in on something like a Surf plus a Spatial Rend because it can't Terra, right? What format is this draft? This is singles. This is singles. So it's because it's singles, like it's a lot easier to flowchart things out. I actually do think there is a lot of value with just leading Palkia, but the reason why you do not want to lead Palkia in this matchup is because we don't know what's sashed. We don't know what is scarfed. Like a Scarf Solgaleo or a Scarf Urshifu would be problematic. So I don't think that it's a good idea to lead Palkia, even though it's fine. We're going to be bringing Palkia. I think if it was up to me, I think the Mons that we should be bringing into this matchup are this. Palkia. Palkia Quag. Volk. Scizor. And then I think Toadscroll. And then either Houndoom or Zoroark. That's what I would be bringing to this draft for week 1, if this was just kind of how my flowcharts are looking out. So this is where I'm looking at. And I want to try and set up a line that I've already ran in my head a little bit and let me know what you think of it. So, what if I opened with Toadscroll? I want you guys to like actually let me know what you think about this. If I open with Toadscroll, right? Toadscroll is a really cool mon because it hits the first check mark of having above a base 97 speed. So I can pin a lot of mons. And Toadscroll is a really, really good type matchup against a lot of their mons. I think when a lot of people think of Toadscroll, they think of like Spore, right? But you say T-Spike's a big opponent, has no ground and poison. That would probably work. I don't think I need to play that, like, I don't think I need to play that type of play style. Now, the reason I drafted this Pokemon is because it's a fast rapid spinner. That's why I drafted it. But I'm looking at this thinking, okay, if we know that you're going to be bringing Ground Weak, Grass Weak, Ground Weak, you know, Grass Weak, I think that Toadscroll could be a really, really good mon for setting the tempo of the game and getting my value. Especially because if we stop them from like leading with the ground types correctly, I think we're in a really, really good spot. So I think what I'm going to do with this Toadscroll is like Leaf Storm, Earth Power, and start sending them down lines of pivoting and taking a little bit too much damage until they lose the Dirge. I think the game that we're going to be playing is forcing the Dirge to come in and them losing it. Because if we think of like what Skeledirge brings to the table, Skeledirge, this Skeledirge that they're using is probably going to have special defense investment because our team is mostly special. So they're probably going to be, and from the little bit of research I did, Emerald Miner seems to be someone that does like the 252 their spots, even if it might not be the most optimal way to do it. Like Skeledirge usually doesn't need like this much HP because it gets diminishing returns, but they have the Unaware here. And so the thing that I was looking at, the calc that I thought would be really, really cool is if I lead Toadscroll, no matter what they lead with, if they lead Weavile, we can pivot to one of our multiple things that can stop Weavile, like Houndoom or Volk or something like that. If they lead Ursh, we pin. If we lead Solgaleo, we pin. If they lead with Dirge, we're still fine. If they lead with Sandy Shocks, we pin. If they lead with Weezing, we have ground pin. If they lead with Arboliva, we can just swap, right? To something like our Volk or something like that. If they lead Sandslash, that's the optimal lead we're trying to catch. Is it's a Sandslash, we pin. If they lead Altaria, we just switch to something like what would we swap to for Altaria? Maybe Quag. Yeah, that's fine. And then Zangoose, like I value Zangoose because yes, I take a turn to set up, right? So the way I'm looking at this is I think Toadscroll is a really, really good mon for setting the tempo of the game. And I also think our opponent is going to be expecting us to be bringing like the Blissey, the Deoxys, all of our higher value draft picks, just like how they're bringing theirs. I'm not bringing them. I don't think that they need them. And one of the reasons why I drafted so many chonky mons like that is because each one of those mons, the Deoxys, the Blissey, the things like that, they take very specific counters, right? The same things that check Deoxys D do not check Blissey in most situations, right? Urshifu is good against Blissey, but it's not good against Deoxys D. You see, that's an example like that. So you have to be like over-teching for things that I'm just not bringing to the matchup, right? That's how this is going to work out. So I really like the Toad Scroll as my lead, and I'm going to talk about kind of what I want to do with it. I was just checking to see if Emerald Miner was in the chat. They're not. All right, so let's go into a damage calculator. I think going into the damage calculator here could be a really, really good idea. Let's plug in Toad Scroll. So we're going to plug in this Toad Scroll. And we're going to plug in a Sand Slash, which I already have like right here. And so if I give myself 252 and I give myself Leaf Storm and Earth Power, which are both of my stab moves, we're probably going to be running a Timid set because we need to outspeed all those base 97s, right? So you can see Leaf Storm just against a standard 252 HP, 252 Special Defense Sand Slash. We already get the Oko. Right? Did I battle him already? No, I've not battled him. I'm battling him tomorrow. Right? So I'm doing my team builder for it right now. So I think the Leaf Storm being able to always Oko Sand Slash. Now, Sand Slash is a Terra Captain. It can Terra, but like getting the Terra out of the way means they can't Terra the Dirge, which means Palkia just checks it, right? So that's like the why. This is why I still think this is a win. So the Leaf Storm goes into that. Realistically, risky doing it live. I mean, honestly, if they're going to come in and see what I'm doing, that is cheating. Like, I would hope that if they are doing that, that would be punished by the rules. Am I wrong? Like that's very unsportsmanlike to do. They can pop him for a second, and be like, oh, I'm like a good person would come in, and be like, oh, I'm probably not supposed to be here, and then leave. You know, I'm gonna delete my VOD after, right? Yeah, there shouldn't. No one in this league would do that. I don't think. So that's why I think it's fine. But I think the Leaf Storm here is really good, and so I'm thinking that the obvious pivot, if we take a look at what we were talking about, what we think they're going to bring. So that's the thing, is if I lead with Toad Scroll and you lead with one of your ground mons, you're going to pivot to something that will block the Leaf Storm. That could be Solgaleo. That could be Skeledirge. I think Skeledirge is better because then Skeledirge repins. You can even Terra Flip to like block my Earth Power, right? If you think you're going to pivot to the Dirge, right? So the Dirge here. Yeah, thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate it. So Skeledirge, if we plug this guy in right here, just plug in a defensive one on the Spadef side and set these to level 50 and stuff like that. So you can see we don't do like a ton off the Leaf Storm, but I think that we're missing like one of my calcs here, and that's going to be with the, if I add the Life Orb, it's going to drastically change a lot of different stuff here. Let's see, Life Orb. So against this guy right here, and let's see like how much they're actually going to be putting in Spadef. Because if they don't put any in Spadef, the Leaf Storm does 28 to 33, right? And then from there, they're unaware of our stat drop, and the Earth Power would just pick up the KO. And realistically, even if they are like full bulk calm, this still does a lot, and then they're so low that like even Volk could pin them at that point. And then they have to go for like a Torch Song back and get the big KO. So I'm really liking the Leaf Storm and the Earth Power off the rip here. I just think it's a lot of damage. I think another thing that I would want to do is like make sure that I don't automatically get KO'd by Urshi Water. Finally got to catch you live on stream. Yo, we are here, yeah. Urshifu Water. So let's plug in like an Urshifu Rapid Strike. Let's just plug in like a Choice Scarf set, because that's the only one that should actually be able to get its hands on us. I want to run a small calc here. I think I have it in my notes already. Grab it in my notes. And if you guys want to see a full review of like my basically my draft analysis and stuff like that, it's all going to be up there on my singles channel. Scrolling up here, hold on. I got some notes. Where did those go? Oh, I wrote that down somewhere. I'm trying to remember where it is. I could just run their calc again. It's fine. Ain't no thing. All right, so we're plugging in the Surging Strikes. You see how the Surging Strikes always KOs there? I think if we make them Jolly, because I think they have to be Jolly. Because like I think Adamant would just take the L, right? If they're Scarfed Adamant. But if they're Scarfed Adamant, they would lose to any of my mons that are Scarfed Jolly, right? Or Timid, right? So we can make sure we don't die here before we get a Life Orb tick. So we'll always be able to live through one of these if they're Jolly. And the way to do that would be something like 12. Actually, we're going to be set at level 100, huh? Actually, you're right. This is all set at level 100. I completely forgot this league set at level 100. This can work for VGC too. This is a draft, so it's like very different. It's different. Well, let's actually take a look at what we need to outspeed here in the first place. I forgot this was for level 50. Or, well, not for level 50. So 328 versus, let's just take their Choice Scarf off. There we go. So we need to get to 323 with our Toad Scroll. Yeah, EVs are set different at those levels. So we have extra points. So we have 24 points. So if we want 24 points right there. So you see the exact 24 points is going to make it so they can't KO us right there. I think it's actually really cool. Even the highest roll, actually that might still get it, but I think it's fine. We could even do something like, let's see if like, how much does putting 1 point in there do? Yeah, I think I might try that. So 4, cool, I'm gonna do that then. So we're gonna go 4. All right, yeah, I'm liking that. So that set should let us live. And then another thing that I really want to add here is you can tell we don't have a great matchup into Arboliva. Right, so if we plug in the Arboliva here, we don't have the greatest matchup into this mon. Let's just give it like a 252 for now. And I think this is where something like Sludge Bomb would be really good. So it's like Sludge Bomb does half if I wanted to put that there. I'm thinking like what other moves do we really want on Toad Scroll if we're going to be Life Orbed? Like if we're going to be Life Orbed, what other moves? We know we want Rapid Spin, right? That's just happening. And so we got to think like what are the other things that would be valuable here? D-Gleam's fine. I don't think we need Knockoff. I'm probably not going to be playing like that sort of game. Knockoff could be viable. I don't think we want like the Spore. I'm not really liking the Spore. I think we might also be just like forcing, like that's why the Arboliva pivot is good to block Spore, right? And so when you just two-shot him with Sludge Bomb, like that's super, super nice. So I think I'm going to put the Sludge Bomb there. Sludge Bomb is also neutral into Wheezing. So I think it could be, and then if the Skeleturge goes Fairy Terra, that's another thing. Foul Play, I don't think Foul Play is required, because like we would be doing more damage probably to like Solgaleo with Earth Power, I think. I'm not, so you say, Knock Me Knight to remove boots on Skeleturge Weavile. I'm not setting rocks in this matchup, because if you take a look at their team, like, they don't have, like, anything I need to break with rocks. They don't have, like, great Sash users, right? They have a Weavile that's going to have to use boots anyways, right? So it's like, why do I care if they set rocks? Or why do I need rocks for this matchup? I'm not seeing the value in it. When I can just kill things, right? Because this is the sort of matchup where because your mons all have the same base speed tier, I'm pretty sure that rocks aren't going to be super valuable. You're not going to be sashing a lot of these. I can just come in and go and just roll it. Rocks would be nice, but like I don't think that I can. Yeah. Weavile Skeleturge taking 25% will give a lot of pressure. Rocks don't do 25% to oh, say Skeleturge. Yeah, but the thing is, like, I don't need to go for, like, knockoff into those, right? They have to use boots, and so, like, going into a gameplay where, like, all right, we just talked about it. Why would I knock off the Skeleturge when I can just pop it with, like, an Earth Power, right? Yeah, Dirge won't after Terra. Yeah, I think that, like, rocks are good, and we have multiple ways to set them, but I don't think that I need rocks in this matchup. You could say put rocks on instead of the Sludge Bomb, but I don't think that's necessarily required either. It's just my opinion. I think like rocks are great, obviously, but like I'm not thinking it's like required in the matchup because I don't think this is going to be a long match, right? And the cool thing about that is my team is made to play the long match, and I'm like, nah, nope, nopers. So I think Toad Scroll is going to be a good mon for the start of this. Now you may be thinking, okay, how does Toad Scroll work? right, against the rest of this team, right? Let's talk about like what Toad Scroll wants to do no matter what they do. Let's see. At the worst, the threat is could force Slash to come, which isn't the best news. Yeah, that's the thing is I think Sand Slash would be, and that's why I said I think Sand Slash is already coming to the matchup, so it's going to be there somewhere. So let's talk about Toad Scroll into a lot of their team. What do I want to do if they lead with Solgaleo? Would you ever lead Solgaleo? That's a great question. It can't Terra. So let's just, we still have the Toad Scroll pin. Let's just plug in Solgaleo. Now, the thing that's going to be most threatening for me and this whole team is like weird Choice Scarf Mons. I think that's the thing I'm most afraid of. We are playing Open Terra on our Terra Captains as well. You can see this Earth Power, if we set this to level 100 Lamau, almost just kills it. And again, I would gladly trade like a Toad Scroll for like a Solgaleo. And like realistically, if they, depending on how bulky they are, right? Let's see if they have like Sun Seal or if they have like Flare Blitz, right? I wouldn't be surprised to see Flare Blitz because they can check Scissor with that. They're going to take 24%. They might actually Oko themselves to a Flare Blitz into my Toad Scroll, right? If I get a higher roll, right? But Sunsteel Strike doesn't even just Oko us if they have no investment. Let's give them full investment. So if they're full investment Jolly, they don't even KO. If they're full investment with Adamant, they can barely KO. Say Policy Solgaleo. But like, okay, Policy Solgaleo, it's still trading your restricted for a non-restricted. And I think AV is a very good option. I think I like the AV. You're going in the right spot here. But you see, we still do about half. And because you don't Oko me back, unless you're using something with like Massive Recoil, that just sets up and be like, okay, I win with Palkia. Like, thank you. Shake my hand, right? I think that like we can just set, I'd obviously like to get more out of Toad Scroll, but using Toad Scroll to like trade effectively, if not actually almost check your restricted, is really good. I wouldn't even be surprised if their Solgaleo was holding safety goggles on this team just to be able to have a pivot to repin the Toad Scroll on the Spore. Because as it stands, your only real thing that's stopping me from sporing you, other than killing my Toad Scroll, is having Arboliva. And like we just talked about, Arboliva, we have the tools to check it too. So I think that AV is very common, but we can still outvalue. So against like Solgaleo, we're fine. Weavile. Weavile's a mon that I don't really want to fight, right? So Weavile would be a bad mon to fight. Let's just plug in like that. Because it gets Triple Axle, right? So Triple Axle will just absolutely nuke our guy. So what I'm going to be doing in this matchup is adding the next mon that I think is very important here, and that's going to be the Volk here. And so against Volk, what I'd like to do is have a set that outspeeds the base 97s and doesn't die to like Triple Axle plus knockoff, or even like knockoff, even from like Banded Weavile, right? So that's what I want out of this. So being able to outspeed base 97, let's just put this as 97. So we need to get to 323 again. And I don't really think that's like a problem. So we're probably still going to have to be timid. The thing is, can he risk getting burned on Volk? Does he have to give up boots in favor of pads? That's the thing is like, yeah, it doesn't really matter because, well, we're going to know. We're going to actually know because I'm going to run Rocky Helmet. That's the thing is like, I'm running Rocky Helmet on this thing. You maybe think like, what? That's crazy. You're not running boots. It's like, I don't care. What is it? Okay. Like I pivoted my Volk and like I take rocks damage, but like the Volk is still going to be, it's going to be sticking on the board long enough to deal the damage. Like the way that I'm looking at this matchup, honestly, is wow, they only have one thing that stops Palkia from literally coming in and clicking Surf and all of the Mons going away. Am I wrong? Right? So we just need to put the two Mons that could like not die to Surf within Surf range, right? Pasho? I think Pasho's fine. Yeah, that would work. But I like the Rocky Helmet here. I don't think you need boots. Because like I don't really care if I pivot on rocks, like that's fine. Keep on setting it to 50. So 323 right here. All right, so we need to then put like probably most of our points in bulk up here. I'm thinking let's run some calcs with the Weavile. So let's just go Volk here. It'd be nice again to go for let's see how much damage like a knockoff does. So knockoff does a whole heck of a lot of damage because we're level 50 right now. Does a lot. Let's see how much damage like a banded one does. So it's not even like anything, you know, from Jolly. He might be adamant. If he's adamant, he's getting outsped by Palkia. So like that damage, and then after we lose our item, would be halved, right? Well, not halved, but like that damage is too much. So we want to be able to live through that if possible. So I think I'm probably actually going to end up going like heavy HP. I'm a Volcanion. Holy shit, no wonder I was not dying. All right, round 2. Stupid Volcanion. Get out of my calcs. All right. That's more realistic. Okay. So we might just die to this thing really, really hard. But we're still going to be able to break Sash if they had Sash. Which I think like Sash Weavile is more of a threat than I really want to talk about. So like if possible, it would be nice to be able to get live that. That's so much damage. From Adamant Choice Band. What if I put like most of my points in defense? Would that just let me live it all? Yeah, alright, I can live that. So 220 lets me get that. If I put him just in defense, I think there's a more optimal way to do it. No, it's probably not actually. Let's just see what that looks like. So we still have 56 points to do with what we want. I want to see how much damage we can deal with Fiery Dance. Where is it? Just type it in here. So Fiery Dance. All right, so we need a little bit of damage to be able to get that out as well. How much points do we need to Oko? That's fine enough for me. 100's so much. I don't even care. I might just go Flamethrower. Yeah, I don't mind Flamethrower there then. So our set would look something like Flamethrower. Probably Quiver. And then I like Morning Sun. And I'm thinking what I want in this last spot. I don't mind Bug Buzz. I'm trying to look at what else they have. Yo! Prime summon it up! Yo, that means you get to nickname one of our Pokemon. Houndoom's nickname has already been chosen, but if there's anything you want to nickname on the Butterfree team right here, please let me know. I will write it down. We're going to be using these in a draft, but let me know. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Bug Buzz is fine. I might want to add something for Ursh. Oh, I know the last move that I want. I know the exact last move that I want. I have the perfect last move that I want here. Perfect. Cool. I'm actually really excited for this. I think this is going to be really, really cool. But thank you so much for the gifted sub. Giga Drain. So Giga Drain's good. I don't think that I need Giga Drain because, like, what am I Giga Draining? Ursh? Like, I'm fine with that. Like, I think I can, like, low-key outvalue Ursh with my Rocky Helmet. I'm kidding. But I almost can. If I'm at, like, +2 and you bring in that Ursh and, like, I hit you with, like, a Flamethrower for, like, 50%, the Rocky Helmet will get the value. I don't think there's anything else we would be realistically hitting. Like, Sandslash, we can just Flamethrower. So I think what I'm going to actually put here is U-turn. And I like this a lot because what's going to happen is if I ever have Volk on the board, what's going to happen is you're just going to go right to your Dirge, and I can go U-turn and then repin the Dirge immediately. So yeah, that's the idea here. All right. Bam. So yeah, I really like the U-turn there. So I can actually just pin the rest of them on it. And these extra points, it's so hard to say where they should go. I think I can optimize this a little bit better. So is that 208? Where were we? We were at 220, right? All right, so let's see. Still. All right, yeah, we had the right spot. 220 is probably fine. Probably just gonna throw the rest in special attack then, just to have that. What was it? It was 56. So if I throw in 56 here, it's not really increasing that much damage. Let's just see 56. Let's plug it in for Solgaleo. That's still a lot of damage. Even if they have like Assault Vest. Still a lot. I'm fine with that. 56 is good on the Volk. It's not about dealing damage, it's about not dying, I think. Yeah, it's about the Flame Body. I think they might have to go pads, but like We're going to find out if they don't take the damage from Rocky Helmet. And like, honestly, we have Quag, so they should be. The idea behind this Rocky Helmet is actually, Ursh is a problem, right? If you would like to Surging Strikes, you are going to have to do that in front of a potential Quag, which you don't want to do. Which means you have to close combat on the Quag. Which means when you close combat the Quag and we pivot the Vulcan, you get the Rocky Helmet take. That's the value, right? That's what we're looking for. You say Psychic could be nice for Urshifu and Weezing. I think Psychic could be nice. I think it does get Psychic, right? But I don't think I need it. I think I like the U-turn a lot more. That's just my opinion. So we're going to have 56 points right here. Cool. Up next, we want to talk about like Toadscruel versus Dirge. So Toadscruel versus Dirge, I think you just pop the Earth Power. If you force the Terra, Palkia should be able to come in and pin. If they go Fairy Terra, Scizor pins. If you go, like, there's a bunch of different things that can happen. I think that's fine. I could also just pivot in, like, something else if I felt like it. We have good walls, too, so, like, I would just pivot in Quag if I felt like it. Against Sandy Shocks. I think Sandy Shocks, you can just Leaf Storm, and that's fine. And if we already talked about the lines where if you pivot to Arboliva and you Leaf Storm, I can then pivot, or if you pivot in Dirge, I go Leaf Storm Earth Powering and win, so, like, that's fine. If they would Weezing, we just Earth Power trade. Arboliva, I think you just go for 2 Sludge Bombs. Sandslash, you go for the Leaf Storm. We just talked about how those lines work. Against Altaria, I think I would probably pivot Scizor or Quag. And against Zangoose, I would probably just Leaf Storm at Zangoose. Yeah, so like I'm liking the Toadscruel really good into the rest of those. Let's start building the Quag EVs. So Quag's going to be right here. Going to have Water Absorb. I think Water Absorb is the right way to do it. Say Glove would stop the effect of Unseen Fist. No, you don't need Unseen Fist because it's singles, right? You don't. Unseen Fist is like not all that great in this format, just because like it's singles. There's no protect, right? But anyways, Water Absorb I think is going to be the play here because it's just an automatic Ursh check. So what we want to do is calc Quag versus something like Urshifu, and just give it like wrong Urshifu. Let's just do the Glass Cannon set it to 100, and then just like we see how much the close combat does. I'd like to make that a 3-shot after lefties. And the way to do that is probably just going to be, I think you can actually just go like this, because like their team has like no special attackers other than Arboliva, which like I don't want to deal with, and like what is it, Skeletorge, I don't really care. So I'm probably just going to be, I wonder if I want to be physical or special. I probably should be physical on this thing. So I'm probably going to be, not bold, impish. Where is impish? Right here. So we just need this. So guaranteed 3 at KO after leftovers recovery. Alright. See how far down we can go there. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Guaranteed 3 at KO after leftovers recovery. 1 sec. So 44. Why does it always go back up to the Surging Strikes? It's fine. It's basically the same thing. I just want to look at some numbers here. $94. 8. All right. Okay, we're getting lower. Yeah, I really like the Quag a lot. 0.4. So there's right there. 136 might even be like 134. Yep, so 136. So that's all we really need to not die here. Which means I could throw some points in Spadef, but like I don't really think that there's a reason for that. I actually don't think there's a problem with going like full HP defense here, because like all of their mons are physical. Ursh, Weavile, Solgaleo, right? For the Dirge and the we have Terra Captain on the Quagsire too. I'm thinking about going Poison Terra. Poison Terra is where I was looking for this guy. I like the poison, not because I'm afraid of like toxic spikes or anything weird, even though it's a possibility. I think that this thing is just better off like the poison, because it's good in the Arboliva. It's basically still giving me that grass resist without giving me a weakness to close combat, which is I was either going to go Ghost or Poison. And I think that this is fine because I don't want to gain a knockoff weakness, right? So I like this. Only problem is I gain a weakness to ground, but like you don't really have that many ground mons other than the Sandslash, right? So it's like, and I'm not afraid of like EQ Solgaleo. So I think like this is probably good. I wonder if I want to go Yawn or Toxic. I think I like Toxic here, just to be able to outvalue the Dirge. So, like, I think Toxic could be really good. We obviously want Recover. And then, like, I think I was going to make this into a Stealth Rockmon. This is kind of where I was going with this thing, with, like, Earthquake. Because you have all your mons other than Altaria are grounded, and you can just Toxic the Altaria. So, like, that's the set that I was looking at. So you still have a Rocks user, but it's not, like, important, you know? That's kind of where I was looking with this. No, I like Ghost, but, like, the thing is, like, the spin blocker only matters if, like, they're trying to spin with a, like, Sandslash. If they go to Sandslash, I go immediately to Toadstool, and we just reapply that same flowchart that we talked about, where we pin, like, 3 of their mons with it. So it's like, if I already had Rocks up. There's a lot of other moves, though, that we do get. I think the Earthquake is fine. Yawn could be really good. I could also go for, like, a weird Terra offensively if I wanted to do that. With, like, a weird Terra Blast. I'm not even, like, mad at, like, Rock Tombing or anything like that. We're going to sit on this right now. Normally, it's not that you get, like, diminishing returns, because you do into some of your stats here, but, like, I think that, like, that's still actually fine. Like, you're all physical attackers. And the Dirge, like, I'm just not that afraid of Dirge, because, like, I can just come in and get whatever I want. Basically, you're going to have to Terra that Dirge eventually. And if I stick to Toxic, like, and also the Poison Terra makes me always hit my Toxic, which I actually think is pretty important. I could even weave in, what if we did do this? Like, let's actually talk about it. We're talking about the value of Protect. I don't dislike that, like, at all. It gives me Leftovers ticks. It gives me Toxic. It gives me... I don't need Rocks. I'm not seeing the value there. I'm not ever seeing a situation in which I want to click Rocks. I'm vibing with that. That's super cool, I think. So we just need to optimize our health for Leftovers recovery. I don't remember how to do that in singles. It might be important to try and outspeed Arboliva. I don't think I need to do that, though. It's fine. I don't need to do that. Because it's 39. I don't think we need to do that, though. That seems too deep. Seems like a waste of points to outspeed the Arboliva. Because when we do Earthquake it, you know? Isn't it the 60? Is it the same rule for singles? Alright. Phone. Where is calculator? Alright, so we're right in the middle. I think 388 might be it. Nope. 386. 384. Yep. I don't like that. I'm not vibing. That's too low. I mean, that would make me not get diminishing returns. That's fine. I will go with this. That's fine. Cool. Next mon that we want to add. Let's do Palkia. So Palkia has to hold the Lustrous Globe. That's like the thing about Palkia, right? We're going to go Telepathy. You may think like, oh, but you can go Pressure. Nope. We got to go Telepathy so we can disguise as Zoroark. If we decide to go Zoroark, which I think we will go Zoroark. So you got to be able to have that threat. That's why I really like this. I think for Palkia, the cool thing is we don't have to run Hydro. Everyone says like, oh, Hydro, you're gonna miss Hydro. It's like, no. You get Surf, right? We can just surf things. Surf, Spatial Rend, Flamethrower, freaking Dragon Tail. Like, we get so much coverage. I think I'm gonna add the Flamethrower. And I think I'm gonna add, I'm looking at Earth Power, but I'm also thinking about like Flash Cannon. If it got it, does it get Flash Cannon? Do you get Flash Cannon? I don't think you do. No, that'd be dumb. All right. I don't think we need ice coverage. I mean, it's for Arboliva, but like we can just Spatial Rend in Arboliva. Because, like, Ice Beam is good. I don't know if we need Flamethrower, though. What are we actually Flamethrowing? Weavile? We can just Spatial Run that. So we don't need Flamethrower either. Cool. So we have those two. Maybe Sub? I don't mind Sub here. Kind of vibe with Sub. Oh, shit. Did I just break this Mon? Hold on. Like, why isn't this what we're doing? Am I wrong? This seems like really good. What do you do? What do you do against that? I'm actually like low-key serious. Like, what do you do against that? That's like really cool. So we just need to outspeed. So again, Palkia is not even gonna have to use its nature to outspeed those. Yeah, if you don't pull rest a bunch. But that's the thing is like I think it's also just there to stop. So like Sandy Shocks. One way to use Sandy Shocks would be to like Thunder Wave us, and then it's like, ha, I got Thunder Wave, and it's like, oh, okay, you know. All right, so there's all we need with Palkia. I actually think I want like a lot of damage. I want the most that I can get. And then, like, we have great defenses, so you can just, like, that's totally fine. We just make ourselves modest. Not seeing a problem, because I want the most. That's the thing, is, like, a lot of these mons, it's easy to EV train some of these offensive stats, because, like, I just want the most damage. So, yeah, I'm vibing with that. I really think that's a good thing. Yeah, that's super cool. I vibe that a lot. So let's see what we want to do here. Next Mon would be, my next Mon was going to be Scizor. So Scizor is going to be a bit weird. Scizor. So I really like Scizor because Scizor can like pivot in and like U-turn out and then just like let me reap him with what I want, which is why I really like it. We know we're going to want Bullet Punch, right? We know we're going to want U-turn. We know we're going to want Knockoff, right? And so I think the last move here, like, I kind of don't hate Dual Wing Beat for Ursh. Because, like, Knockoff's good into Dirge. Knockoff's good into, like, a lot of those, honestly. Dual Wing Beat is good into Dirge. I think also, like, Defog is good. What I like to do with Scizor, honestly, is just, like, Rest Chesto. That's one of my favorite sets. I think they might be able to scout that, though. Because, like, I use this exact set a lot when I play Scizor. So let me think. I don't think we need, like, AV. I'm not really afraid of that. Dual Wing Beat's good damage. I've also used a lot of Light Screen Scizor in the past, but it's just not good in this matchup. I don't have a problem with SD here. Trailblaze. I'm not vibing with the Trailblaze. Because, like, we don't have the damage to, like, win the game off that. And I don't have this. I don't want to input the speed to do that. I don't like Trailblaze there. I think there's a lot going on with that, but it's not where I'm looking. I want to see how much damage we do to Ursh with Dual Wing Beat. Let's see. Yeah, that's so much. That's from Life Orb, which is kind of where I was looking. That's a lot, you know. That's just an unbelievable amount of damage. Issue is like outspeeding the Ursh. Like honestly, this Ursh is going to do a lot back to us if they're built correctly. But I think we can just soak it. I actually think I'm going to try this. I like that. Let's see the Solgaleo. Thought that would do more. It's only doing like half. Huh. That's nuts. It's just like half. I can go knock off BP and finish that one off. Okay. Cool. So we need to outspeed certain things here. We checked out their speed tier. Skeldritch is 66. I would like to outspeed that. So I'm going to put probably 12 to make sure I outspeed the Dirge in most situations. Maybe even, I'm down to speed creep up to 20, honestly. Cool. And then probably just 236. And this right there. Actually, I need to redo all these because the freaking stats got changed. There we go. Cool. That looks like a good scissor set. And the last mon. So I'm thinking about going Houndoom or Zoroark here. And I want you guys to hear my thoughts for both. And I think I'm going to build both, but I don't know which one I'm going to inherently use. I am leaning on Zoroark, but Houndoom's good. We are not cooking with this one? What is up? What do you mean? You say, why are we not cooking? I'm cooking. All right. Yeah, let's talk about Houndoom and Zoroark versus their team. I like Houndoom as a mon that can pivot in on Dirge and Weavile and repin. Problem is, Houndoom is 95 base speed, so it gets outsped by Solgaleo and Rapid Strike, which I don't like. It's an auto. It definitely checks the Dirge, but the same thing can be done with Zoroark if we know they're going to be like Shadow Balling or something, or even like you can eat one Torch Song with a Zoroark. The thing that I like about Zoroark here, I like Zoroark here for a couple reasons. It's my Terra Captain, so I'm going to be able to double dip this Dark Terra if I want. And I was looking at a Life Orb set with Night Days. I was looking at it with Night Days and Psychic. This should be able, if you're not Scarf Ursh, if you're not Scarf Solgaleo, this Zoroark checks their whole freaking life force with like just those moves. And you have like the Flamethrower as well, right? So do you, and then the last move that I like here, because Flamethrower can check Arboliva and Weavile, the last move here, I think this mon breaks their whole team. Am I wrong? Like, I'm not seeing this one like rip. And so like I think the Houndoom is a good pivot safely into the Dirge, but like this kind of just says, I send this thing out. Dark Pulse better than Night Days? No, I don't think so. Night Days is cracked. Like Dark Pulse is weak. Night Days is strong. 40% Chancellor Ag, like that moves is. I've never understood the mechanics behind why people like Dark Pulse. Night Days is like one of the best moves ever made. It's so good, you know. So I really like. If Night Days was a 90, it's an 80. It's too weak. So I like Night Days a lot. But you pin Dirge, you pin Solgaleo, you pin Weavile after the agility, right? Our Axe move's not banned. So from what I saw in the rules, moves that will like, I think like Mud Slap's banned. I think Sand Attack is banned. Dapper's here. I don't think that Night Days is banned. Because it's a chance. You know, I would use this. If this was a 95% accuracy, 85 base power dark move, I would use this too. And I thought about making Zoroark physical or special, like knockoff Sucker Punch, but I really like the Psychic that you get here. And from what I ran with the calcs, like, you do just KO everything. We need to get to that 323, which means we still gotta go Timid. And now, since we have like the agility, we outspeed like everything. Right, so those right there, and then we can honestly just throw the rest of these. I would just throw them into defense, honestly, just because like we know we're going to be taking like most of our teams are physical. Yeah, I don't think there's like an issue with this. I also think there isn't anything really wrong if I wanted to just be like, actually, I'm not wrong. I'm going to be full speed. I would like to outspeed some. Like I feel like you might cut some corners with some of your mons, and I would like to outspeed. Say better actually with 5 base power. Yeah, I don't really care about that because like 5 base power is pretty important on a lot of these calcs. So I don't think that like, so I'd rather have 5 base power than 5 base accuracy in a situation where like I need it. That's just my opinion. Like accuracy's weak, you know? You may just think like, Why even use Spatial Rend? You could just use Dragon Pulse, you know that, right? It's like, no, this is so much better than Dragon Pulse. Yeah, just hit, it's like, what? Especially because this has a secondary effect of 40% lower their accuracy. That's like so And the way that I'm trying to set up these leads is I would lead Toad Scroll. Let's talk about let's talk about some flowchart action here. I lead Toad Scroll. You lead Sand Slash. You have to pivot Sand Slash. You go to your Dirge. You eat the Leaf Storm. I get the -2. Because of Unaware, I can still KO you with Earth Power or Force of Terra. No matter what happens, that's winning for me. If I either remove your Dirge, chunk it low enough, or KO it or Force of Terra, those are all good lines. If I lead Toad Scroll, right, and you lead Weavile, which is a good one into the Toad Scroll, I pivot into Volk. Volk comes in, soaks some damage, scouts for protective pads. Weavile potentially gets burns. We click the U-turn to the Weavile because it's still super effective into Weavile. They pivot to Dirge because Dirge is an automatic check to this. I U-turn, I go into Zoroark disguised as any of these other mons, and I OHKO their Dirge with the Night Days. Are we seeing the value there, right? If I lead Toad Scroll and you lead Ursh, I can go for a one. I can just try and pop it. If you show that you're Scarfed Ursh that early, I know that I can actually always pivot in my Quag, and you don't 3-shot me with the what is that? You don't 3-shot me with it is a 3-shot with close combat. So I'll be able to weave in the Toxic, weave in the Recovers. I can actually wait out those close combats, and then Ursh doesn't have the way to actually break the Quag. So like you see like where we're looking with this. I really like where this is going. And the Ursh also can't have things like if it's Scarfed Ursh, I can always pivot in my Quag, scout for close combat or Water Absorb, and then pivot to Volk. Because if they do close combat, cool, I'll take one close combat with my Quag, but then I'll just go to my Volk and you'll take a Rocky Helmet tick, and then I'll be able to get U-turn cycle and go for Morning Suns and all those things like that. I also think the rest Palkia is really good. I think the Scizor, like big Life Orb energy on this team, but like I love it. I think this is going to be a very, very good squad. So I think all these things considered, we should be able to get a win in game. But yeah, I think that the things that are problematic here are Skeledirge, right? Having a weird defensive, like a Water Terra Skeledirge could be a little dicey. It could be a little dicey. I'm not really looking forward to potentially fighting Water Terra Dirge. I think Fairy is a little bit more common. If it's Water Terra, Palkia is good. Spatial Rend's still really good. Zoroark's still fine. We have to be cost ineffective, but then we can just Leaf Storm it if it goes Water Terra, I guess. And they're going to show the Terra on the team sheet. Other things that are problematic are Banded Weavile. I don't really want to deal with that. And then Scarf on the Solgaleo or the Ursh are things I'd rather not deal with. I'd rather those be like protective pads Ursh or like AV Solgaleo. The more you start like Scarf or Specs Wheezing could mix it up a little bit. But I think if I win, I'm gonna be really happy. And if I lose, I think I did a good job preparing for this. I probably could do a little bit better, but I really like being able to utilize these the weaker aspects of my team. The lower tier mons are coming out. The Zoroark, the Toadscroll, potentially the Houndoom are coming out on this one. And I really think what they're going to be doing is they're going to be thinking to themselves, okay, I got to bring like stuff to beat Blissey and Deoxys. I got to beat Blissey and Deoxys, and Blissey and Deoxys aren't coming, right? So you got to think like the effectiveness of what we're doing to tunnel them into bringing those things. They're going to be trying to check mons that just aren't in the matchup. So, like, when we go into the first game, and they're going to be like, crap, like, all this tech was wasted. Same thing, like, I'm not giving Zangoose and Altaria the amount of respect they deserve, but I think that's because I have something like a Palkia that just says they don't get to play the game, right? If the Altaria was a Terra Captain, I think I might be treating it a little bit differently, but it's not. So, those are the changes. What do you guys think? Do you guys agree? Do you disagree? Let me know. Hopefully they don't like absolutely counter me, but even if they do, I still think I have a good matchup.